Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to dive deep into a career that's really got some juice to it. Automotive Battery Technician.
Ooh, I like that.
We've gotten a bunch of RoleCatcher guides from you guys on this, and
And
I gotta say, this is a career that I don't think gets talked about enough, so let's break it all down. What's the job really about? What does it take to really make it in this field? And
right.
where can this path lead you? I mean, is this a lifetime career?
Yeah, and how is this changing?
Yeah,
Because it's changing rapidly.
totally.
I'm pumped to jump into this.
Yeah.
I love digging into different career paths. And this one, especially right now, with everything going on in the automotive world,
Oh, yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
fascinating.
Okay, so the RoleCatcher guide, Automotive Battery Technician, the complete career guide talks about all this stuff, assembling, installing, inspecting batteries, and basically everything related to batteries in vehicles.
Right.
But, and I think we all know this, we're not talking about your grandpa's car battery anymore, are we?
No, 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 not at all. And that's actually, the technology advances section of this guide really stood out to me because with electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles, the batteries are a whole different ballgame now.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be like a huge, I don't know, I don't even know if game changer is the right word, but for someone who's going into this field thinking, oh, I'm going to work on car batteries, it's not just jump starting a car on a cold morning anymore.
No.
Like, what kind of learning curve are we talking about here?
It's significant.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about traditional car batteries, you're mostly dealing with lead acid systems, right? You're dealing with charging, maybe some basic electrical troubleshooting. But with electric vehicle batteries, you're talking lithium-ion technology, battery management systems. These are complex systems. You're dealing with high voltage, so it's a whole different ballgame in terms of the knowledge and skills required.
It actually sounds kind of dangerous.
There are definitely safety protocols. You need specialized training. This isn't something you just pick up overnight.
Yeah.
But that being said, that's also why there's such a huge demand for skilled technicians who have this knowledge.
Okay, so job security in a changing world. I like the sound of that.
Exactly.
But let's back up a little bit and talk about, I guess, some of the basics. The guide also mentions things like diagnostics, using testing equipment. So what are some of the tools that these technicians they're using? How complex are these tools to actually use?
Yeah, so you have your standard tools, like multimeters for measuring voltage and current, but then you get into more specialized tools like battery analyzers that can test the capacity and health of a battery. And with EVs, you're talking about high voltage diagnostic equipment, insulation testers. It can get pretty high tech.
So a healthy dose of tech skills required on top of the hands-on stuff.
Absolutely.
And I can see how in the guide where it talks about functions and core abilities, things like troubleshooting, analyzing, it's all coming into play here.
Big time. And let's not forget using technical documentation. Being able to read and understand those complex manuals, that's critical. This is precision work with, like we said, high-stakes technology.
Okay, so maybe it's not all glamorous.
Right.
But working with like cutting-edge tech and being a part of this whole automotive revolution, it's got to be exciting. So what does the guide say about what the job outlook is actually like for this field?
Yeah, so the industry trends section is actually really positive. The demand for skilled technicians, especially those who can work on those electric and hybrid vehicles, it's through the roof.
Music to the ears of anyone worried about robots taking their jobs, right?
Exactly.
But I have a feeling that even when all the robots are here, people are still going to want to yell at a human when their car battery dies.
Right.
And the guy did mention dealing with difficult customers as a potential downside.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you have any, like, I don't know, crazy customer service stories from any jobs you've worked in the past?
Oh, I'm sure I have a few tucked away. But you're right, those interpersonal skills, they're essential. Being able to explain something complex and clearly to a frustrated customer, that's huge. And that's valuable in any field.
Totally, totally. And speaking of dealing with people, it seems like communication is important throughout this entire career path. And the guide mentions that there are different career stages for an automotive battery technician. Let's break those down for our listeners and see where this journey could lead.
Sure. So typically, you'd start with an entry-level position, maybe assisting a more experienced technician. Then, as you gain knowledge and experience, you move up the ladder. You go from junior to intermediate to eventually a senior technician role.
So you're basically leveling up like in a video game.
Exactly.
But instead of slaying dragons, you're mastering the art of the battery.
Right.
And I'm guessing eventually you could be the one mentoring the newbies.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm.
And that's where, as you progress, this staying updated section that we talked about earlier, it becomes even more important because The technology is always evolving. You've got to do those conferences, get those ASE certifications.
It's like those badges of honor you were talking about earlier, right?
Basically, yeah.
Proof that you know what's up.
Exactly.
So let's say someone is just starting out. Maybe they're fresh out of high school or they're looking for a career change. What are some concrete things that they could do, like today, based on what we learned in this getting started section, to kind of explore this field?
Hands-on experience is key. So look for apprenticeships, maybe at repair shops, dealerships, even battery manufacturers. Volunteering at places that work with vehicles, even if it's not directly battery related, can give you a feel for the environment.
Yeah, and I'm guessing some community colleges offer courses in like automotive technology.
Absolutely. That's a great way to build a solid foundation, get familiar with those tools and technology we were talking about. And a lot of these programs, they have partnerships with local employers, which can lead to internships or even job placements.
So it's all about networking and kind of getting your foot in the door.
For sure.
And while you're building those skills, the guide also mentions thinking about specializing within the field, which is really interesting. It's not just a one-size-fits-all kind of career, is it?
No, definitely not. And as the automotive landscape changes, those specializations within it change as well. So you might focus on a specific type of vehicle, like high-performance cars or heavy-duty trucks.
Mm.
Or you could specialize in a particular battery technology, like lithium-ion, which is huge right now with EVs.
Okay, so speaking of lithium-ion, the guide touches on it, but for someone who might not know, can you break down what makes them different from those traditional batteries and why that knowledge is extra important for somebody going into this field?
Sure. So traditional car batteries, they're mostly lead acid, which is reliable technology, but it's older. Lithium-ion batteries. These are what power most electric vehicles. They're lighter, they're more energy dense, and they charge differently. So understanding those differences, knowing how to handle them safely, and the specific maintenance they require, that's essential for anyone who wants to work on EVs, especially with where the industry is going.
So specializing in lithium-ion, that could be a smart move for someone who really wants to be at the forefront of all this like technological change that's happening.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
And as more and more electric vehicles hit the road, that demand for technicians with lithium-ion expertise, it's only going to grow. It's a specialization with a bright future, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's like being a mechanic during the invention of the car. Like you get to be in on the ground floor of something big.
Exactly, exactly. And speaking of specializations, you could also focus on a specific area of expertise. Maybe you love diagnostics and testing, or maybe you're more into the hands-on repair and maintenance side of things. Or you could even specialize in battery management systems, which is like the brains behind electric vehicle batteries.
So many options. It seems like there's a niche for everyone within this field. It's not just about getting your hands dirty, although I'm sure there's plenty of that too, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's about like finding your passion within this whole world of automotive batteries, which is cool.
Yeah, and combining those technical skills with your interest to carve out your own unique path. I love that.
Totally. And for someone who loves problem solving, likes working with their hands, likes to stay ahead of the curve when it comes to technology, it kind of seems like it checks all the boxes.
I think so.
Yeah.
And let's not forget the satisfaction that comes with taking something broken and bringing it back to life, or knowing that you're playing a part in keeping people moving.
Totally. It's like being a doctor, but for cars.
Right.
So we've talked a lot about like hands-on experience, continuous learning, and even finding your niche within this world. But let's shift gears for a second and talk about something that we haven't really gotten into yet, which is showcasing your capabilities. Because in such a competitive job market, how can an automotive battery technician really make themselves stand out from the crowd?
Well, in today's digital age, it's not just about having a great resume. The guide talks about building a portfolio, which I think is so smart in this line of work.
A portfolio, like what? Photos of perfectly spliced wires and gleaming batteries.
Exactly. Think before and after shots of those complex repairs you've done, documentation of projects you've worked on, maybe even testimonials from happy customers. It's a way to show, not just tell, potential employers what you bring to the table.
And with social media, you can get your work out there even easier.
Oh, absolutely.
You could be the battery influencer that nobody knew they needed.
Right. Think about it. Sharing tips, answering common questions, even creating those like mini tutorials. It's a way to establish yourself as that go-to expert in the field.
And maybe even get some new talent interested in this industry. So we've talked about like the here and now, maybe the near future of this career path. But let's zoom out for a sec. We know the automotive industry is going through this huge transformation, right? electric vehicles, self-driving cars. It's wild. So what does this all mean for the long-term prospects of somebody who's like, this is it. I want to be an automotive battery technician?
I think it's such an exciting time to be entering this field. Some people might be worried about automation and robots taking over, but I actually think it's going to create even more opportunities for skilled technicians.
So more robots, more problems, more jobs for the battery experts.
Exactly. Because those robots, those advanced vehicles, they rely on sophisticated technology, and that technology needs to be maintained and repaired. Think about it. A self-driving car can't exactly pull over and call for a tow truck if its battery dies.
Right. That's when our trusty battery technician
That's right.
saves the day.
Exactly. So as we move further into this world of electric and autonomous vehicles, the role of the automotive battery technician, it's only going to become more crucial.
It's like those sci-fi movies where like the mechanics are more like surgeons working on these like intricate high-tech machines.
Right. It's not that far off, honestly. I mean, the skills needed in this field are already evolving so quickly, and that's only going to continue. So being prepared to be a lifelong learner, constantly adapting and expanding your knowledge, it's crucial.
It's a career that's always moving forward, kind of like the vehicles they're working on.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so exciting.
Well, we've covered a ton of ground in this deep dive. We've talked about what it's like to actually do the job day to day, the skills that you need to make it, the importance of continuing to learn and grow, and all those exciting possibilities on the horizon in this like rapidly changing industry. So as we wrap up, what are your final thoughts for somebody out there who might be thinking, you know what, this could be the career for me?
I would say if you're passionate about technology, you love working with your hands, and you're not afraid of a challenge, this could be an amazing fit. So do your research, get that hands-on experience, and don't be afraid to really embrace the ever-changing world of automotive batteries.
It's a career with a ton of potential, not just for like personal and professional growth, but for making a real difference in the future of transportation.
Couldn't agree more.
Huge thank you to RoleCatcher for creating such insightful guides and for helping us really dig deep on this really fascinating path. And to our listeners, we hope you found this deep dive informative. Maybe we've even inspired you to explore the world of automotive battery technicians a little bit further.
It's been a pleasure joining you for this deep dive.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and stay charged up about your future.
Yeah, and it's not even just about, like, photos.
Right.
Think about, like, you could have diagrams,
Oh, yeah.
schematics.
Yeah.
Like, really show the inner workings of what you're doing.
Totally. And explain it in a way, because I feel like a lot of people who are good with their hands, they can also break down complex things into like digestible pieces for people who wouldn't normally understand.
And that's a skill in itself.
Oh, yeah.
Being able to communicate that knowledge is huge.
Huge. Okay, so we talked about the here and now, the near future of this career path, but let's zoom out for a sec. We know the automotive industry is going through this like massive transformation with electric vehicles, self-driving cars. It's like wild out there.
It's a lot.
So what does this all mean for the long-term prospects of somebody who's like, this is it, I want to be an automotive battery technician?
Honestly, I think it's a really exciting time to be entering this field. Some people might be worried about automation, robots taking over, but I think it's going to create even more opportunities for these skilled technicians.
More robots, more problems, more jobs for the battery experts.
Exactly, because these robots, these advanced vehicles, they rely on such sophisticated technology, and all of that technology needs to be maintained. It needs to be repaired.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. A self-driving car can't exactly pull over and call for a tow truck if its battery dies.
Right. That's when our trusty battery technician comes in.
That's right.
Saves the day.
Exactly. So as we move further into this world of electric and autonomous vehicles, that role of the automotive battery technician is only going to become more crucial.
It's like those sci-fi movies where like the mechanics are like more like surgeons working on these like intricate high-tech machines.
It's true, and it's not that far off, honestly, when you think about it. I mean, the skills that are needed in this field are already evolving so rapidly, and that's only going to continue. So being prepared to be a lifelong learner, constantly adapting and expanding your knowledge base is going to be key for success in this field.
It's a career that's always moving forward, kind of like the vehicles that they're working on, which I think is cool.
Exactly, and that's what makes it so exciting.
Well, we've covered a ton of ground in this deep dive. We talked about what it's like to actually do the job day to day, the skills that you need to really succeed, the importance of continuing to learn and grow, and all of those exciting possibilities that are on the horizon in this like crazy rapidly changing industry. So, as we kind of wrap up here, what are your final thoughts for someone out there who might be thinking, you know what, this could be the career for me?
If you're passionate about technology, if you love working with your hands, and you're not afraid of a challenge, then I think this could be a really great fit. So I would say do your research, get that hands-on experience, and don't be afraid to embrace the ever-changing world of automotive batteries.
It's a career with a ton of potential, not just for personal and professional growth, but like you're making a difference in the future of transportation.
Couldn't agree more.
Huge. Well, a huge thank you to RoleCatcher for creating such insightful guides and for helping us really like dig deep on this super fascinating career path. And to our listeners, we hope that you found this deep dive informative. Maybe you're even feeling a little bit inspired to explore the world of automotive battery technicians a little bit further.
It's been so fun joining you for this deep dive.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and stay charged up about your future.